BAMVision is brought to you by Gill, Ladner & Priest, Face Value Health, Bank First, JH&H Architects, Home Buyers, Will White, Benchmark Construction, Take One Media LLC, Smarts Web, Southern Farm Bureau Life, Belhaven University.
Will you be there when times get really hard?
Will you show me right from wrong?
Will you never quit on me? I will never quit on you.
Welcome to BAMVision. I'm Jack Chris. We are pleased to be joined by Mr. David Marsh, the founder and CEO of Benchmark Construction based in Jackson. I've known David for a lot of years. And David, you've got a big milestone coming up with your company next year. Or this year, actually, when we show.
Yeah, it will be 40 years. 40 years. We started in 1979. So, yeah. And as people say, it's gone by mighty fast.
Well, you know, a lot of construction companies probably have come and gone in that time. It's a testament to what you all do, the quality of your work. And as I said, I've written about you and covered you for many, many years. When you look back, David, 40 years, is there a high point of Benchmark Construction? Before we talk about your specialties and what you do, is there something you can say, well, you know, this was the pinnacle. This is what really made it all worthwhile?
You know, I don't think there's really that one spot, that highlight. I think it's just been a continuous fear of failure and hoping that we get more work, take care of the work that we've got, and just keep looking ahead. So there wasn't a they say that these quarterbacks have to have a Heisman moment so they can get the trophy. Well, we haven't had a Heisman moment. Of course, we're not Heisman candidates either, but
you're selling
nonetheless,
yourself short, I think.
No, it's just been a slow and steady, not fight, but always keeping work out there and pursuing projects, trying to do the right thing, and make sure we leave everybody as happy as we can in the construction business. So that's a challenge.
Well, it is. And I know the business audience watching probably is aware of Benchmark Construction, but for the general viewer, is there a project or a building or something that they might know that you did, that you worked on?
Well, I guess, let's see, there could be a couple, but we actually built the first casino on water, the Isle of Capri, in Biloxi, Mississippi. So that was a big deal because we had to build it on a barge. It had to be built like a ship, and it was a real tight time crunch. We had to build it in 5 months from virtually no plans, so the plans had to be done, and we built it in the same time. That was in the heyday of the gaming industry, because every day they were not open, they were losing after tax, after everything, right at $250,000 per day. So that was a big deal, and that helped us because we got some more work from that, and it was profitable as well. So that was a big boost. So I'm sure most people have been down on the coast and been to the different casinos, but we built a few of them down there. So.
You're being too modest, but you and I are both South Jackson natives. We grew up not too far from each other, as we found out here recently. We've got an article that is probably be published by the time this comes out. But tell us how a South Jackson guy who went to Millsaps, you played football, how in the world did you get into construction in the first place, David?
Well, after I graduated from Millsaps, I had a degree in history, so I really didn't have, back then long range planning was the weekend, so there wasn't a whole lot of
still is for some of us
as to, okay, I'm going to college for this reason, and this is going to be the next step. Although a lot of my classmates, they did have that all lined out to go to law school, medical school, or whatnot, but I wasn't in that category. So I had my degree in history, and I needed a job, so I got a job as a laborer downtown on the Deposit Guarantee Bank building. Didn't know anything about construction, but I knew how to work and keep my mouth shut. So I got a job down there, worked there for a couple years, and was actually promoted to a labor foreman. Why, I'm not really sure, because the crew was only about 3 guys, so not much supervision required. And then I got into the Carpenters Union, worked as a carpenter, and then got a job as a superintendent for a small company. And then strictly as a lark, we started Benchmark. As a matter of fact, the way it happened is when I was working for the small company, the other carpenter and I and labor were sitting outside eating lunch, and we looked at each other and seeing what we had done, and said, just jokingly said, this is so easy, we ought to do it on our own. Well, the guy who owned the building happened to walk by and hear what I said, and he looked at us and he said, well, if y'all want to start a little company, I've got a job for you. So we looked at each other and shrugged our shoulders and said, what the heck, when this fails, we can always go back to what we're doing now. So there was no grand plan or scheme, and it just happened. We got a little job and another little job, and just worked out.
Well, you said a lark, but it's from a lark to a 40-year-old company, one of the most well-respected companies in Mississippi, and I'm proud to say a sponsor of what we're doing here at BAM South. You've got your son working for you now. You've got a number of employees. You've got to be proud of where you're going. And from what you told me recently, there's no stopping David Marsh. You're going to be doing the work and fighting the fight for more years to come.
Well, I don't have any plans to retire. I just, that's not anything I ever really thought about. And not to boast or anything, but over the last number of decades, I've learned a lot, and you just can't transfer that to somebody. It's nothing you can learn in a classroom. You just got to learn it through the cliche of the school of hard knocks.
Right.
And I hate to let that go to waste. So after 40 years, I'm really now just getting the hang of things. So
you're being modest
again. I think I've got some things figured out, and I know what pitfalls are out there. And the actual work is one thing that a lot of people can do, but it's mainly the interaction of the people, whether that's with the owners, architects, engineers, subcontractors, your own folks. It's just the harmony and cooperation between the different people that make things go smooth.
David, in the remaining time we've got left, people can find out more about you in the in-depth profiles of excellence story I'm doing on you. But you're also known, and I've known you to be a very philanthropic individual, and the mustard seed is very near and dear to your heart.
Willowwood.
I'm sorry, Willowwood. The mustard seed is important to a lot of us, but Willowwood, yes. Mm-hmm. Talk about what you've done for Willowwood over the years.
Well, I don't really consider it philanthropic. It's really, what is the right word? This might sound odd, but really my involvement in Willowwood is selfish, because that's what makes me happy. So it's self-indulgent, and I'm not trying to sound like the greatest guy around, but I do it because it makes me feel good as well as benefit others. But I do remember going out there. A good friend of mine, another South Jackson guy, Dan Modisette. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, WOBT, sure.
Yep. We grew up together out there near Candlestick Park. And one day he said, David, I want you to have lunch and go out to Willowwood. I heard of Willowwood, didn't know what it was about. And it's obviously for developmentally delayed children and adults. And so I was having a tough day at work, had a lot of things on my mind. And so I go out there, and I was just thinking, I need to hurry up and get through because I got to go to work. And so I walked through there, and there's these little kids that have all these challenges that I couldn't even imagine, me having, or my children, and yet they're smiling and laughing, and the teachers are, and the children are having a great time. Their parents are there, and so all of a sudden, all my issues just kind of
yeah.
I don't have any problems. So that's why I got involved. So after that tour, which Dan, he set me up. He knew what would happen.
Right,
so,
right.
When I come out of there, and I've got tears coming down my eyes, down my face, and I said, Dan, what can I do to help? So that's the kind of stuff, when I say selfish, that made me feel better. So it's been a good experience.
And you've done a lot for them. David Marsh, Benchmark Construction. Pleasure, David, and we admire you and admire your company, and we appreciate your support, and we'll be talking to you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. Appreciate all your time.
Thank you, David. I'm Jack Chris. This is BAMVision. Thanks so much for watching.
Looking to the future may feel overwhelming. Obstacles may appear too complex and intimidating. Fear blocks your foothold to earn your degree. Don't be left behind. We'll help you balance finances, work, and family on your way up. And we'll climb with you every step of the way and build your faith as we go. We've guided thousands to their educational summit, because when you reach your goal, the view is pretty incredible. Belhaven University. Start today, on ground or online.